Hey guys, what's up? It's Alex or Nuzz here. You've seen me do videos on loot from 10 hours of high-level PvM, loot from mid-level PvM, 10 hours of Wilderness Slayer, and even hunt some of RuneScape's most elusive drops for 10 hours. But in this video, we're going to be grinding 10 hours of PvM, but using strictly the newest combat skill, Necromancy, including killing the new boss Rasial and seeing how much money we can make this video. Now, the plan for this video is to spend about half of our time at Rasial since his drops are so expensive right now and he's the newest boss in RuneScape, while also testing some of the older bosses with Necromancy like Raksha and my personal favorite boss, the Glacier. If you like videos like this, over 70% of you aren't subscribed, so let's see if we can ever get to that YouTube play button. That would be amazing. And if you think you're subscribed, make sure you check, because I've had a lot of channels recently that I thought I was subscribed to for the longest time that I actually wasn't. Alright, so here's the plan. What I ended up doing was getting up to 95 Necromancy, and I also got my full tier 90 set. I wasn't the fastest as I took my time with the skill. I also camped Hermod for all my plates and everything, and I got my Zuck cape from the kiln, but I'm going to be using the tier 90 power set throughout this video. I won't be using the new armor or anything like that. I also don't have the new tier 99 prayer, and I don't have the undead sigil, so all this stuff is stuff that I made myself from training Necromancy. The tier 90 power armor and weapons I made myself, so it should be a pretty interesting look at how Necromancy can do with this without having, you know, the one build gear set, the expensive prayer and stuff. So let's see how much money we can make. Alright, so we started off at RuneScape's newest boss, and for me, I was very excited for this, but I was kind of late to the party because I did take quite a while to get 95 Necromancy, and if you don't know, you actually need over 30k souls to do the quest to unlock him, so it did take me quite a while, as there was a few days I wasn't playing, but it was nice to unlock him, and I was afraid he was going to be hard just because I saw he hit, you know, very hard, but honestly, he's, once you get the hang of it and you kind of learn the Necromancy rotations, he's very easy, very chill to do. The one thing I will say is you do spend quite a bit of money on blue blubber jellyfish, but with the drops being so expensive there, some going for over 1 billion GP, I wasn't really too concerned with the price of the blue blubber jellyfish. Now at first, before I kind of had a set rotation, I was getting around 2-minute kills or so, which was because I was kind of, I wasn't really standing in the right spots, and I wasn't really doing my death skulls rotation right. So essentially what you can do, thanks to Wazi for his video that I'll link below, was actually really good at showing this. You can actually use your living death, and as you use living death, you want to go and drink an adrenaline renewal potion on the same tick, and if you do that, you should be able to get, I believe, 3 death skulls off while in living death, and then 1 after, and then 1 before. So essentially you can get 5 death skulls off with the Zuck cape, of course, in, you know, the start of the kill, the living death rotation, and then right after. So basically the entire kill, which usually goes for a minute and a half, you can get 5 death skulls off, which is extremely overpowered. The reason we're using blue blubber jellyfish is to essentially keep our adrenaline up. We can basically spam them because you're going to take a good amount of damage. I also have the blood reaver to do extra damage from soul splitting, but also to kind of give me more health. I have the scroll set on auto fire 3, so it's giving me health every now and then. The only problem I ran into was, since I'm not using the tier 95 armor, my summons don't last as long as, you know, if you use the armor. So essentially my summons would almost die when I get to the end. So what I'd have to do is life transfer to essentially transfer my life to them, and sometimes they would still die before the kill is over. So that's kind of the only problem I found, was that my summons just kept dying a little too much or too early, and I didn't have as much DPS on the last phase. Last phase is pretty easy though. You essentially reflect, you can vitality pot, and then you essentially death skulls, do a few more abilities, and the instant kill from Necromancy at about 30k will usually go off pretty soon. So all in all, not a super terribly hard fight, but one that I really like. If you guys know me, I For some reason, really like the Magister. I've done like 3,000-4,000 kills, so he kind of reminds me of that, but like an upgraded version that you can actually die to that's actually pretty dangerous, but it's not a super long fight with a lot of moving around in phases and stuff. So for the drops for this boss, I've seen people get a ton of drops super fast, and I've seen people go insanely dry, 300-400 kills without a single drop, but I know the drops are probably pretty common, maybe like a 1 in 75, 1 in 100, and with the prices they're going for, it's well worth it for how fast you can kill it. So I was hoping we'd get something, so I ended up going 99 kills and not getting a single thing. But then at kill 99, I believe, we end up getting the Necromancer robe bottoms, which was amazing to see a drop there. And I was super excited because, as you guys know, with the economy, a lot of things have gone down in price, so GP is kind of a lot more valuable, like 300-400 mil. You know, before Bow of the Last Guardians was like 5 bill, now it's less than 2 bill, so essentially, you know, for buying high level gear, 300 mil goes a lot further than it used to. It really does. So we ended up selling these bottoms, and they sold for about 360 mil, which I was pretty happy with for how long this took me, and I had a few hours left, so we went back, and yeah, surprisingly, we got back-to-back drops. So we got the Necromancy foot wraps after this, which, you know, I think that may be the worst drop, but it's back-to-back drops, so I cannot complain at all. I thought I wasn't going to get a single drop, so getting two back-to-back was amazing. And I took these to the GE and they sold for about 250 mil or so. So again, another pretty nice drop. You know, I know a lot of bosses you can go very dry. I mean, Glacier, I'm, you know, 2000 KC with only one core, which is like a 700 mil drop. So to see drops that are 200, 300, 400 mil that are not, you know, 1 in 1,000 drops is a pretty nice change of pace. I know it's mostly because they're so new, but it was really fun to get these drops. Now at this point, it had been probably about 4 to 5 hours. I only had a little bit of time left, so I end up getting 98 Necromancy here, which, you know, is nice. We're one step closer to 99. I trained most of 95 to 98 at this boss, but now I think it's time to go test Necromancy with our remaining about 4 hours or so on some other bosses. So the first thing I decided to do was, me and my friend have done a lot of Raksha. Raksha is one of my favorite bosses, so I thought, hey, let's see if me and my friend can beat our duo record or get anywhere near our duo record when we use range, you know, ECB, Bow of the Last Guardians, he's very good with range, Saren Godbow. Let's see if we can get anywhere near that. So we went to Raksha, and at first it did not go well. We were kind of clueless on what to do. We're kind of using the Rasial rotation, and there were a lot of little mistakes that we made that kind of made the kill a lot longer. So one of the things that kind of sucks with Raksha Necromancy is you have to clear the pools, the anima pools, and to do that you usually switch to a scythe and you bladed dive them. In duo, usually one person will do this. So the problem is, when you're using Necromancy, if you switch to a scythe, your summons all disappear. So that means whenever we got to the point where we had to bladed dive the pools to clear them, and we put on a scythe, all our minions would disappear and we'd have to resummon them, which just made things a little bit weird. But what we did notice was we had a very strong burst DPS, especially for the first 2 phases. We would get past the first 2 phases so fast with Death Skull, Split Soul, everything. We just killed him so fast and got him to phase 3 that after we cleared the pools, this was probably our longest phase, just because we're kind of out of Living Death. We were out of, you know, most of our damaging abilities. So phase 2 was the one that kind of took us the longest. And then phase 4, at first it was kind of weird to know what to do because we're kind of used to a certain rotation. It's going to be weird going in and doing all the bosses with Necromancy again. But after we got it down, we ended up getting, you know, close to our average kills, 2.5 minutes or so so duo. 3 minutes, under 3 minutes was usually decent for us, but eventually we ended up tying our record with 2 minute and 27-second kill. So we didn't beat the record in the hour. We actually did this for an hour and a half. We went back for a little more, but yeah, we actually tied the record. So I think we'll definitely be able to beat it because this was our first hour and a half of doing this. So we really didn't know what we were doing. But as for loot, no big loot like Greater Ricochet, but I did get a lot of salvage. Usually Raksha just throws me a bunch of seeds, but getting a ton of salvage actually made the hour pretty decent. So I was pretty happy with that. And again, I have tier 90s. I don't have the new tier 95 set. I don't have the Necromancy prayer. So I am missing quite a few buffs for Necromancy that I did have for range. So I think we could get this time even better. And all in all, I kind of like Raksha other than clearing the pools with Necromancy. All right, so finally, the last place I wanted to go was a place that I have a lot of experience with, the Glacier. I have over 2,000 kills. It's one of my favorite bosses despite being pretty unlucky with loot. It still is mechanically just one of my favorites, especially with the streaking mechanic. So I thought, hey, let's see how Necromancy will do there. Now I did have some reserves about it. Mainly one, the minions. So the minions at the Glacier are usually with range. I'd clear them with Chinchampas, which made it extremely easy. With Mage, you could use something like Detonate, which cleared them pretty easily. But Chinchampas were really good, so I was wondering what I could really use with Necromancy. But I did figure out that there's actually a incantation called Threads of Fate, and what this does is it basically links minions together. So you link the minions together for 4 seconds, and you can deal damage to all of them. So it essentially makes your abilities like Chinchampas for basically 4 seconds, so you basically can only get, you know, one ability in pretty much, maybe two. So it's a little bit harder to use, but it was something that actually worked decently throughout. Sometimes it wouldn't kill every minion, but we ended up streaking from 0 just starting out, and I did notice a lot of the pillars, using the pillars was kind of sort of the most annoying mechanic, which isn't usually the one that I find the most annoying. The reason was because with Necromancy, the range, it feels a little less like it can pull you in. I'm used to using like a bow there, which has an extremely long range. So using Necromancy, it kind of pulled me in and almost got me killed a few times from the pillars. So I would notice my death calls would kind of get canceled sometimes, especially if I used them when I was running around from the pillars, which made it so a lot of times during the pillar phase, I really wouldn't do much, when normally with range, I could SG B-spec and stuff like that. I really didn't do much there, and I kind of tended to use my DPS rotations when I knew I was standing still, like the flurry. But after getting used to it, it was pretty fun. We did get Dark Nylas extremely early, which was kind of sucked. We got basically 2 Nylas super early on. I don't really need them. I have a ton of them. I've, you know, gotten a ton of those drops. And then we also ended up getting an Uncut Onyx, which I think is a little bit rare. As for like normal drops, it's a little bit rare. But yeah, we streaked a good bit for about 2 hours, and I ended up making a mistake and actually forgetting to reflect. I don't know why I forgot. I must have just somehow messed up and didn't reflect for the cannon when I had Devo down, so I ended up dying through that. And at the time, I didn't have 99. I believe I didn't have 99 Necromancy, so I didn't have my Max Cape and my Sign of Life, so I was just dead. But it was pretty fun. We did make a decent amount, as you can see here, from the normal loot. Most of the loot from Glacier is either the core or the normal loot, so we did make an okay amount here, and I was really happy that the Glacier seemed pretty doable with Necromancy. Now let's see how much we made from absolutely everything. From 10 hours of PvMing only with Necromancy, and we did Rasial, Glacier, and Raksha, and as you can see, the normal drops actually were pretty decent. Glacier carried most of those. Rasial's drops, they're okay. They're not anything crazy. Raksha, I'm glad we got some salvage, but most of the money came from the Rasial drops, the Necromancer bottom, and boots. So we made 681 mil in about 10 hours of PvMing with Necromancy, which honestly is really good. This would have been a lot less without those 2 drops, but we did spend, you know, 5 or 6 hours at Rasial, so I'm pretty happy with it. Let me know what you guys think about PvMing with Necromancy. Do you want to see some boss guides with Necromancy for other bosses? I could definitely do that. Leave a like and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. And I hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was fun to make, and I'll see you in the next one.